I remember the ceiling tiles above the operating table, white squares with tiny holes, spinning as my vision blurred. The surgeon's voice sounded distant, urgent commands I couldn't quite understand. My blood pressure was dropping fast. 12 miles away at the Grandview Hotel, my parents were raising champagne glasses at my sister's charity gala. They had told me just hours earlier that I was being overdramatic about my stomach pain. The nurse said something about losing me. I wondered if my mom would even answer when the hospital called. Then the anesthesia pulled me under, and everything went dark. The pain woke me at 6 in the morning. Sharp, insistent, radiating from somewhere deep in my gut. I rolled over in bed, trying to find a position that helped. Nothing worked. At first, I figured it was food poisoning. I had grabbed Thai takeout the night before from that place on 5th Street. Maybe the chicken had been off. I'm Dennis, 28 years old, a junior architect at Morrison & Webb downtown. I had an important presentation scheduled for 9 that morning. A potential client worth $200,000 to the firm. I could not afford to miss it. By 7, I was in the bathroom, bent over the sink, sweating despite the cool air. The pain had intensified, focused now on my lower right side. It felt like someone was stabbing me with a hot poker, twisting it slowly. I splashed cold water on my face, tried to breathe through it. I called my mom around 7:30. Patricia answered on the 4th ring, her voice already tight with irritation. "Dennis, it's early. What is it?" "Mom, I'm really sick. My stomach hurts bad. I think something's wrong. You probably ate something bad. Take some antacids. Your father has them in the medicine cabinet." "No, it's worse than that. It's really severe. I can barely stand up." She sighed, that particular sigh that meant I was being inconvenient. "Dennis, your sister's gala is tonight. We cannot deal with your drama right now. We have been planning this event for 6 months. I'm not being dramatic. The pain is on my lower right side and it keeps getting worse. Then take some medicine and lie down. We have to get to the venue early. Amber needs us there by 3 to help with final setup. Mom, I really think I need to see a doctor." Her voice went cold. "Dennis, we have been over this. Tonight is incredibly important for Amber. She is raising money for children's literacy programs. The mayor is going to be there. Can you please not make everything about you for once?" The words hit harder than the physical pain. "I'm not trying to make anything about me. I'm telling you I'm sick. And I'm telling you to take some medicine and rest. We will check on you tomorrow after the event. I have to go." She hung up before I could respond. I stood there holding the phone, another wave of nausea rolling through me. Fine. I would power through it. I always did. I got dressed for work, each movement sending fresh sparks of agony through my abdomen. By 8, I was trying to walk to my car in the apartment building's underground garage. I made it halfway down the hallway before my legs gave out. The pain had become unbearable, radiating now into my back, my chest. I collapsed against the wall, sliding down to the floor. That's where Mr. Carson found me. He was my neighbor, a 72-year-old retired postal worker who lived 2 doors down. He had been heading out to get his morning paper. "Dennis." "Good Lord, son, what's wrong?" "Can't. Stomach." I couldn't form complete sentences. Mr. Carson was already pulling out his phone, dialing 911. "Just hold on. Help is coming." The ambulance arrived within 8 minutes. The paramedics loaded me onto a stretcher, asking questions I barely heard. At the emergency room, everything became a blur of bright lights and urgent voices. A doctor examined me, pressing on my abdomen. I nearly screamed when he touched the right side. "We need a CT scan immediately," he told the nurse. They wheeled me through corridors that smelled of disinfectant and fear. The CT scan machine hummed around me. Then I was back in an ER bay, waiting. The doctor returned, his expression grave in a way that made my heart race. "Dennis, your appendix has ruptured. You're septic. The infection is spreading through your abdominal cavity. We need to operate right now, or you could die." The words didn't fully register at first. Die? From stomach pain? "Are you sure?" I managed to ask. "Completely sure. This is a medical emergency. Do you have family we can call?" I gave them my parents' numbers with shaking hands. While nurses prepped me for surgery, I tried calling them myself. My dad, Frank, answered after 6 rings. Dennis, we are getting ready for the gala. Your mother told me you are feeling sick. Just take some medicine and rest. We will check on you tomorrow. Dad, listen. I'm in the ER. My appendix ruptured. I need emergency surgery. Right now. Oh, come on. You always do this. Do what? Every single time something important is happening for Amber, you suddenly need attention. You did this at her graduation. You did it at her promotion dinner. We are not falling for it this time. Take some aspirin, get some sleep, and feel better. We have to go. He hung up. I stared at my phone in disbelief. They thought I was lying. They thought I was making this up for attention. I tried one more call. Amber answered immediately, but her tone was ice. Dennis, I heard you were trying to guilt Mom and Dad into skipping my gala. That is really low, even for you. This is my night, the night I have worked toward for months. Can you just be supportive for once in your life? Amber, I'm in the hospital. I'm not making this up. My appendix burst. Right. How convenient. The timing is just perfect, isn't it? Goodbye, Dennis. I hope you feel better, but I also hope you think about what you're doing to this family. She ended the call. The nurses returned, moving efficiently around me. One of them, a kind-faced woman named Helen, squeezed my shoulder. We're going to take good care of you, sweetheart. Don't you worry. My family, I started to say. We've been calling them. I'm sure they'll be here soon. I signed the consent forms alone, no family member present to hold my hand or tell me it would be okay. As they wheeled me toward the operating room, the pain intensified. My blood pressure kept dropping. The numbers on the monitor made the nurses exchange worried glances. My last coherent thought before they put me under was that my family actually believed I was lying about dying. I don't remember much about the surgery itself. That's probably for the best. What I learned later, pieced together from medical records and Helen's gentle explanations, painted a picture that still gives me nightmares. While I was being cut open, my parents were arriving at the Grandview Hotel ballroom. Mom wore a designer dress, navy blue with silver accents. Dad had on his best suit. They posed for photos in the lobby. Amber looked radiant in a gold gown, greeting donors and sponsors. The event was exactly as they had planned it. Perfect. Meanwhile, in Operating Room 4 at County General, things were not going according to plan. The surgeon, Dr. Raymond Walsh, discovered immediately that my appendix hadn't just ruptured recently. It had burst hours earlier, while I was at home trying to tough it out. The infection had spread throughout my abdominal cavity. What should have been a straightforward appendectomy became a fight to save my life. The hospital tried calling my parents 3 times during the surgery. Each call went to voicemail. Patricia saw the unknown number flash on her screen during the cocktail hour. She declined the call, assuming it was me using a different phone to manipulate them. She showed the screen to Frank, and they both agreed to ignore it. In the operating room, my blood pressure crashed. The monitors started screaming. Dr. Walsh called for additional surgical staff. They pumped me full of antibiotics, fluids, blood, but my body was shutting down, overwhelmed by sepsis. At 9:47 that evening, my heart stopped beating. For 41 seconds, I was clinically dead. The surgical team performed emergency procedures. I'm grateful I don't remember. Chest compressions. Medications pushed directly into my bloodline. Dr. Walsh refused to give up. My heart restarted at 9:48. The surgery continued for 4 hours total, far longer than the typical 90 minutes for an appendectomy. Doctor. Walsh removed what was left of my ruptured appendix, irrigated the infected tissue, placed multiple drainage tubes to help my body fight off the remaining infection. By the time they closed me up, he wasn't sure I would make it through the night. They moved me to the ICU in critical condition. At the gala, Amber stood at the podium giving her speech. She talked about the importance of family support and community investment. She thanked Patricia and Frank for always being there for her, for teaching her the value of dedication and showing up for the people you love. The audience applauded. My parents beamed with pride from their front row seats. Patricia's phone buzzed again. The hospital. Trying one more time. She silenced it without looking, not wanting to be rude during Amber's big moment. Someone suggested they all pose for a family photo. Patricia, Frank, and Amber stood together, arms around each other, smiling for the photographer. They posted it on social media within minutes. The caption read, "Blessed with such an accomplished daughter. So proud of the woman she has become. Family is everything." Around 11 that night, I woke up briefly in the ICU. It felt like waking up in hell. There was a breathing tube down my throat, preventing me from speaking. Tubes ran from my arms, my chest, my abdomen. Machines beeped rhythmically around me. The pain was beyond anything I had imagined possible. Helen was there. She must have stayed past her shift. When she saw my eyes open, she moved quickly to my side, taking my hand in both of hers. "You're okay, sweetheart. You made it. The surgery went well, but you gave us quite a scare. Don't try to talk with that tube in. Just squeeze my hand if you understand me." I squeezed. "Good. You're going to be just fine. We're taking care of you." I looked around frantically, searching for familiar faces. For my parents. For Amber. For anyone from my family. Helen's expression softened with something like pity. "We have been trying to reach your emergency contacts since before your surgery. We've called multiple times. No one has responded yet." Tears ran down my face, hot and bitter. I had almost died, had actually died for 41 seconds, and my family couldn't be bothered to answer the phone. Helen squeezed my hand tighter. "You're not alone, Dennis. You hear me? You are not alone. We're here. We've got you." The medication pulled me back under, but not before the full weight of their abandonment settled into my chest like a stone. The next morning, the hospital finally reached my parents. It was 8 o'clock. They were home, having breakfast after the successful gala, still basking in the glow of Amber's triumph. Patricia answered the phone with the irritation of someone interrupted during a pleasant morning. "Hello? Mrs. Harper? This is Maria Gonzalez, patient advocate at County General Hospital. I'm calling about your son, Dennis." "Oh, yes. What is it?" "Ma'am, Dennis underwent emergency surgery last night. His appendix had ruptured, causing severe sepsis. He went into cardiac arrest during the procedure. We managed to revive him, but he's currently in our intensive care unit in critical condition." Silence on the other end. "Mrs. Harper? Well." Patricia's voice had changed, gone defensive. "No one told us it was that serious. He said his stomach hurt. How were we supposed to know?" Maria, a professional with 15 years of experience, kept her tone neutral. "We attempted to contact you 6 times last night, Mrs. Harper. We left detailed voicemails explaining the situation and urgency. We were at an important event. Our daughter's charity gala. It was a very significant evening. I understand. Your son is asking for you. He's awake intermittently. Visiting hours in the ICU are restricted, but immediate family can come anytime. We will try to come by this afternoon. What room is he in?" Frank took over the phone. "We will be there when we can. We have some commitments this morning. Thank you for calling." He hung up before Maria could say anything else. In the ICU, I drifted in and out of consciousness, each time hoping to wake up and see my family. Each time, there was only Helen and the other nurses, their faces kind but belonging to strangers. The truth was settling in, heavy and cold. When I needed them most, they had chosen a party over my life. I woke up fully around 2 in the afternoon. The breathing tube had been removed, which was a relief, though my throat felt raw and my voice came out as barely a whisper. The pain was still intense despite the medication. Drainage tubes protruded from my abdomen, uncomfortable and strange. Every small movement sent shocks through my core. Helen came in to check my vitals. She had the warmest smile, the kind that made you feel like everything might actually be okay. "There you are. How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck," I croaked. "That's about accurate for what your body's been through. You're doing better than yesterday, though. That's what matters." She adjusted my IV, checked the drainage tubes. "Your parents called. They said they would try to visit this afternoon. Try. The word stung. Around 3, Patricia and Frank finally arrived. They were still wearing expensive clothes, the kind you put on for brunch at the country club. Dark sunglasses, despite being indoors. They looked uncomfortable, out of place in the sterile ICU environment. Patricia approached my bed cautiously, as if I might be contagious. "Dennis." "Oh, honey. Look at you." I waited for an apology, for some acknowledgement of what had happened. Instead, her first real words were, "Why didn't you tell us it was this serious?" The question hit me like a slap. "I did tell you. I called you 3 times. I told you exactly what was wrong." Frank crossed his arms. "You are always exaggerating, Dennis. How were we supposed to know this time was different? Because I told you I was in the emergency room. Because the hospital called you 6 times. Patricia glanced around the ICU nervously, as if worried other people might overhear. "This is just awful. Amber's event was such a success. We raised over $80,000. And now we have to deal with this situation." I stared at her, trying to process what I was hearing. "This situation? You know what I mean. This is very stressful for all of us." "I almost died, Mom." She waved her hand dismissively. "But you didn't. You are fine now. The doctors fixed everything." "I'm not fine," I flatlined. My heart stopped beating. "They had to bring me back." Frank shifted uncomfortably. "Well, we are here now, aren't we? What more do you want from us?" What did I want? An apology. Some indication that they understood the gravity of ignoring hospital calls while their son died on an operating table. Some sign that they felt even a shred of guilt or concern. Instead, there was only annoyance at the inconvenience. A long silence stretched between us. Patricia finally broke it. "How long will you be in here?" "We have plans this week. Frank has a golf tournament on Thursday. And I have my book club." I turned my head away, unable to look at them anymore. Patricia's tone shifted to irritation. "Don't be dramatic, Dennis. You are going to be fine. The doctors said so. They said I almost died. Almost doesn't count. You are alive. That is what matters." They stayed for maybe 20 more minutes. Most of it was spent complaining about hospital parking fees and how the cafeteria coffee was terrible. Patricia mentioned that several people at the gala had asked where I was, and they'd had to make up excuses about me being under the weather. "Do you know how embarrassing that was?" she asked. "Having to explain your absence? More embarrassing than your son dying?" The words came out sharper than I intended. Frank's face reddened. "Watch your tone. We are still your parents." "Then act like it." Patricia stood up abruptly. "We don't have to listen to this. We came here out of concern, and you are being hostile and ungrateful." "I'm ungrateful? We raised you. We gave you everything. And this is how you treat us?" Before I could respond, they were gathering their things to leave. Patricia paused at the door. "Your sister is very upset, by the way. She feels like you ruined her weekend. She worked so hard on that gala, and now all anyone wants to talk about is your medical drama." Medical drama, as if I'd chosen to have my appendix rupture for attention. They left without saying goodbye, without saying they loved me, without any indication they planned to return. Helen came back after they were gone. She found me crying silently, tears running down into my pillow. "Those were your parents?" she asked gently. I nodded, unable to speak. Helen sat on the edge of my bed, something nurses aren't technically supposed to do. "Honey, I'm going to tell you something my grandmother told me when I was young. You don't owe people anything, just because they share your blood. Family is supposed to show up for you. If they can't do that, you get to choose who your real family is." Those words planted something in my mind, a seed that would grow over the coming days into a decision that would change everything. Over the next 3 days in the hospital, my parents never visited again. Not once. Amber sent a single text message. "Heard you had surgery. Glad you're okay. Still pretty hurt you couldn't just push through for my event. Would have meant a lot." I didn't respond. What could I possibly say? Mr. Carson visited twice, bringing me magazines and a plant for my room. "Thought you could use some company," he said, settling into the visitor's chair like it was the most natural thing in the world. Jason from work came by with files, so I could work remotely once I was home. "Take all the time you need," he said. "We've got you covered." The nursing staff treated me with more kindness than my own family. Helen brought me extra pudding cups because she noticed I liked them. Another nurse, a young guy named Tyler, stayed late one night just to watch a baseball game with me because he knew I was lonely. Strangers cared more than my parents did. On day 5, Dr. Walsh cleared me for discharge. "You'll need to take it easy for at least 6 weeks," he said. "No heavy lifting, no strenuous activity. The infection was severe, and your body needs time to heal properly. Do you have someone at home to help you?" I almost laughed. "I'll manage." "What about family?" "I'll be fine on my own." He looked at me with the same pity I'd seen in Helen's eyes. "Make sure you have my office number. Call if anything feels wrong. And Dennis? Take care of yourself. You've been through a trauma." I took a taxi home because no one offered to pick me up. The ride cost $43. I had to stop twice on the way up to my apartment because the stairs exhausted me. Mr. Carson heard me struggling and came out to help, supporting my weight as we climbed. Alone in my apartment that night, surrounded by the deafening silence, I made my decision. I was done. The first 2 weeks of recovery were brutal. The physical pain was manageable with medication, but the exhaustion was crushing. Simple tasks, like showering or making toast, left me breathless and shaking. The drainage tubes had been removed, but the incisions were still healing, angry red lines across my abdomen that pulled with every movement. Mr. Carson checked on me every single day. He brought groceries, helped me change bandages, even cooked meals, and left them in containers outside my door. This 72-year-old man who barely knew me showed more care than my parents ever had. Jason came by after work most evenings, bringing me dinner and keeping me company. We'd watch basketball games or just talk. He never once made me feel like a burden. On day 8 post-surgery, my phone rang. "Patricia." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the answer button. Then I let it go to voicemail. Her message was brief and annoyed. "Dennis, this silent treatment is getting childish. I know you are upset, but we are your parents. Call me back." I didn't. She texted the next day. "This is ridiculous. You are being overdramatic as usual. Call your mother." I blocked her number. Then I blocked Frank's number. Then Amber's. Over the next few days, extended family members started texting. My Aunt Carol, my Uncle Stephen, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. All of them with variations of the same message. "Your parents are worried. Why aren't you answering?" Family doesn't do this to each other. I blocked them all. At my 2-week follow-up appointment, Dr. Walsh seemed pleased with my physical progress. "The incisions are healing well. No signs of infection. You're doing great. All things considered. Thanks. How are you doing emotionally?" It's normal to feel some depression or anxiety after a trauma like this. I thought about how to answer. "I'm dealing with it." "Do you have support at home?" "More than I expected. Just not from where I expected it." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "That tells me everything I need to know. Make sure you're talking to someone, though. Don't bottle it all up." I returned to work after 3 weeks, still moving slowly, but functional. My boss, Eleanor, called me into her office on my first day back. "Dennis, we're glad you're okay. Truly." Jason filled us in on what happened. "Take it easy, all right? No late nights for a while." "I appreciate that." "And Dennis, your emergency contacts in our system listed your parents. If you want to change those, just let HR know." I changed them that afternoon. Jason and Mr. Carson became my emergency contacts, people who would actually answer the phone. Around week 6, Aunt Carol showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door to find her standing there with a casserole dish and a determined expression. "Dennis, we need to talk." "I didn't invite you here, Aunt Carol. I'm your family. I don't need an invitation." She pushed past me into the apartment. "Your mother is beside herself with worry." "Why are you doing this to her?" "Doing what?" "Not calling her back? You're being cruel. Shutting out your entire family over one misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" I felt anger rising. I nearly died. I was on an operating table fighting for my life while she was at a party. The hospital called her 6 times. 6. She ignored every single one. Carol set the casserole on my counter. She thought you were exaggerating. You have to understand. You've always been a bit dramatic about illness. I had a ruptured appendix and sepsis. My heart stopped. How is that dramatic? But you're fine now. You made a full recovery. So why are you still punishing them? The question stunned me. You think I'm punishing them? What else would you call it? They made a mistake. People make mistakes, Dennis. Family forgives. They haven't apologized, not once. They came to the hospital and complained about how my medical emergency inconvenienced them. Carol's expression softened with something like pity, but not the kind that felt supportive. Dennis, you're 28 years old. It's time to stop competing with your sister for your parents' attention. Competing? I was dying. And they didn't know that. You're choosing to hold a grudge instead of being the bigger person. That's on you. She headed for the door. I'll tell your mother you're being unreasonable. Maybe she'll finally stop worrying and realize you're doing this for attention. After she left, I sat on my couch, hands shaking. They had rewritten the entire narrative. Somehow, I had become the villain in this story. The next day, I found out through a mutual friend that Patricia was telling everyone a very different version of events. According to her, I'd had a minor surgery for appendicitis and was now using it as an excuse to be vindictive and cruel to my loving family for absolutely no reason. Family friends started calling me selfish, ungrateful, attention-seeking. People I'd known my whole life suddenly viewed me as the problem. Someone even posted on social media about entitled children who abandon their parents over nothing. My cousin Bradley texted me, "Dude, your mom is saying you had your appendix out, and now you're acting like they abused you or something. That's pretty messed up." It was just appendicitis. I responded with the full truth. Ruptured appendix, sepsis, cardiac arrest, ignored hospital calls. Bradley's reply came quickly. "Oh, wow, that's not what she's saying at all. Like, not even close." "I know. Do you have proof?" I sent him photos of my medical records, the surgical notes, the ICU admission papers. The documentation of 6 attempted calls to my parents during my surgery. Bradley called me immediately. "Holy hell, man. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Nobody knows the real story. Now you do." Word began spreading among extended family. Some people, like Bradley, reached out to apologize. But Patricia and Frank doubled down, calling me a liar. They claimed I'd doctored the records, that I was mentally unstable, that I was trying to destroy their reputation. Amber posted on social media about family members who spread vicious lies for attention. The post got 147 likes. I didn't engage. I didn't defend myself publicly. I simply stayed silent and let them reveal who they really were. Over the next 6 months, something unexpected happened. My life got better. Without the constant drain of my family's negativity, I had energy for things that actually mattered. I threw myself into work and got promoted to senior architect. I started going to the gym again, rebuilding my strength. I went on dates. That's how I met Lauren. She was a graphic designer who came to our office for a consultation. Jason introduced us at the coffee machine. She had red hair, freckles, and a laugh that made the whole room feel warmer. We started talking, then dating. She knew about my family situation from the beginning because I didn't want to hide it. "They chose a party over your life?" she said one night over dinner. "Yeah. And they still haven't really apologized?" "Nope." She reached across the table and took my hand. "Then you made the right choice. You're allowed to protect yourself, Dennis, even from family. Especially from family." I moved to a better apartment across town, a 1-bedroom with actual closet space and a view of the park. Mr. Carson helped me pack, even though I told him he didn't have to. "Course I do," he said, taping up a box of books. "That's what family does." "You're not my family, Mr. Carson." He looked at me with those kind eyes. "Aren't I? I was there when you needed someone. That makes me family as far as I'm concerned." He was right. Family wasn't about shared DNA. It was about who showed up. On the day I moved, Mr. Carson stood in my new apartment and smiled. "You're different now, son. You're smiling more. I'm proud of you." For the first time in months, I felt genuinely happy, free, like I could finally breathe without the weight of their disappointment pressing down on my chest. I had erased them from my life, and in doing so, I'd found myself. 9 months after my surgery, life had settled into a rhythm I actually enjoyed. Work was fulfilling. Lauren and I had gotten serious, talking about moving in together. Jason and I played basketball on weekends. Mr. Carson and I had dinner every Tuesday. I had built something real, something healthy. Then one Saturday morning in late April, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Patricia and Frank standing in the hallway. They looked older somehow, more tired. Patricia had new lines around her eyes. Frank's hair had gone grayer. "Dennis, please. We need to talk," Patricia said. My stomach dropped. "How did you get my new address?" "We're your parents. We called the building management. They gave it to us." I made a mental note to report that to the office. "What do you want?" Frank glanced at Patricia. "Can we come in?" "No." Patricia's eyes filled with tears. "Please, honey. Just 5 minutes." I stayed in the doorway, arms crossed. "Talk. We've missed you so much." "This has been the worst year of our lives." Patricia dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I said nothing. Frank cleared his throat. "We're sorry if we weren't there the way you needed when you had your surgery. We're trying to make amends." "If?" The word came out sharp. Patricia flinched. "Okay. We're sorry. We should have been at the hospital. We should have answered when they called." I waited. There had to be more. Frank continued. "So, can we move past this? Be a family again? Why now? It's been 9 months." Patricia glanced at Frank, a quick look that told me everything. "What's really going on?" I asked. Patricia attempted casual. "Well, Amber is getting engaged. Marcus proposed last week. There will be wedding planning, engagement parties, photos." The truth clicked into place with perfect clarity. "You need me to pretend everything's fine so you don't look bad at Amber's wedding," I said. "That's not fair," Frank protested. "That's exactly what this is. You don't care that you almost let me die. You care that it looks bad that I'm not in the family pictures." Patricia's tears dried up, replaced with frustration. "Dennis, people talk. It looks terrible that you're not part of family events. Amber's fiancé Marcus comes from a very prominent family. The Hendersons own half the commercial real estate downtown. We need to present a united front. So this is about appearances." Again, Frank stepped closer. "Think about your sister. Don't ruin another important event for her." The audacity of that statement took my breath away. "I didn't ruin anything. I had emergency surgery. You know what we mean. Don't make her wedding about your grudge." "My grudge? You're calling it a grudge?" Patricia's frustration boiled over. "What do you want from us, Dennis? We said we're sorry. What more can we possibly do?" "I want nothing. From any of you." Patricia's sympathy vanished completely. "You're being incredibly selfish. After everything we've done for you over the years." "Like what? Like ignoring me while I bled out?" Frank's face reddened. "We raised you. We fed you. We put you through college. We gave you every advantage. And I've been grateful. I've been a good son for 28 years. But that night showed me exactly where I rank in this family. Below Amber, below appearances, below a party." "So that's it?" Patricia's voice rose. "One mistake and you throw away your whole family? That's your answer?" "It wasn't one mistake. It was who you are. You showed me your priorities." I finally listened. A car pulled up outside. Amber stepped out, wearing designer sunglasses and a confident smile. They'd brought her as backup. She walked up to my door. "Dennis, please. I'm getting married. I need my brother there." I looked at her, remembering her voice when I'd called from the ER. "You called me a liar when I was in the hospital. I didn't know it was that serious. I told you I was in the emergency room. You didn't care enough to ask. Can we just move on? My wedding is going to be featured in Style magazine. This is a huge deal. I can't have my brother missing from the photos. What will people think?" There it was. The real concern. What people would think. "Congratulations on your engagement, Amber. I hope you're very happy. But I won't be attending the wedding." Her face hardened. "You're serious?" "Completely. This is because of that night? You're going to hold that over us forever?" I'm not holding anything over anyone. I'm just done participating in a family that doesn't value me. Patricia reached for my arm. Dennis, please. We'll do anything. Just come back. I stepped back. No, you won't. You'll do whatever protects your image. That's all this is about. Please don't contact me again. You're going to regret this, Patricia said, her voice turning cold. I don't think I will. I closed the door. They stood outside for several minutes, arguing loudly enough that I could hear them through the walls. Patricia's voice rose in anger. Amber was crying. Frank was trying to calm them both down. Eventually, they left. I sat on my couch, hands shaking despite my resolve. Lauren emerged from the bedroom where she'd been waiting. You did the right thing, she said, sitting beside me. Then why does it hurt? Because you're a good person. Good people feel things, even when they're doing what's necessary. She was right, but knowing that didn't make it easier. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. It was from Amber's phone, but Patricia must have taken it. You will regret treating your family this way. Don't come crawling back when you realize what you've lost. You're dead to us now. I blocked the number and tried not to think about the fact that my mother had just disowned me via text message. But underneath the hurt, there was also relief. The door had closed. There was no going back now. And honestly, I didn't want to go back. I had found something better. 4 months later, in late August, I was planning to propose to Lauren. I'd bought the ring, planned a weekend trip to Asheville, even asked her father's permission in a phone call that had gone surprisingly well. Life felt full in a way it never had before. My promotion meant interesting projects. Lauren and I had moved in together the month before, turning my apartment into our shared space. Jason had started dating someone, and the four of us went out together regularly. Mr. Carson came over for dinner every week. I was happy, genuinely, deeply happy. Then, on a Tuesday evening in late August, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Dennis, it's Amber. Her voice was frantic, high-pitched with panic. She must have been calling from a different phone since I'd blocked her regular number. How did you get this number? Dennis, please listen. Dad had a heart attack. We're at County General right now. He's in surgery. It's really bad. You need to come. My first instinct was concern. My heart rate jumped. Frank had a heart attack. That was serious. That was life-threatening. Then I remembered. The operating table. The fear. The loneliness. The 6 ignored phone calls. I'm sorry that happened, I said, keeping my voice neutral. What? Dennis, did you hear me? Dad might die. Get here now. I heard you. I said I'm sorry. Sorry? Dennis, this is Dad, our father. He's in surgery right now, and it's not looking good. Mom is losing it. We need you here. I took a breath. Did you call him dramatic when it happened? Did you ignore the hospital when they tried to reach you? Silence. Dennis, this is completely different. How? Because this is Dad. This is serious. And I was your brother. On an operating table. Alone. That was serious too. We didn't know. You knew. You just didn't care. Where were you when I needed you? We're your family. No. You're people who share my DNA. Family shows up. You didn't. Amber's voice broke. So you're just going to let him die? I'm not a doctor, Amber. There's nothing I can do at the hospital that the medical staff isn't already doing better. He's getting excellent care. I know because County General saved my life when you all decided to party instead. You cold-hearted bastard. Funny. I thought I was just being overdramatic. I hung up. My hands shook as I set the phone down. Lauren looked at me from the kitchen doorway. What happened? My dad had a heart attack. They want me at the hospital. What do you want to do? I thought about it for a long moment. I thought about Frank dismissing me on the phone. I thought about him telling me I was just seeking attention. I thought about standing in that ICU room while he complained about parking fees. Nothing, I said finally. I want to do nothing. Are you sure? Yes. Over the next 3 days, the calls came from every angle. Different numbers, different people, all with the same message. Patricia called, her voice hoarse from crying. Your father is asking for you. He wants to see you. How can you be so cruel? I hope he recovers. Goodbye, Mom. Don't you dare hang up on me. This is your father. Your father. He might die and you're just going to let that happen? The doctors are taking care of him. I can't do anything they aren't already doing. You could be here. You could show him you care. Where were you when I needed someone to show they cared? She started crying. I said I was sorry. No, you didn't. You said you were sorry if you weren't there the way I needed. If. Like it was up for debate whether you'd failed. You never actually apologized. Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay? Now will you come? No. You're not my son. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the person you taught me to be. I learned from the best. I ended the call. Aunt Carol called, furious. This is unforgivable, Dennis. Your father is in intensive care, and you can't put aside your pride for one day? It's not about pride, Aunt Carol. Then what is it about? Revenge? Is that what this is? It's about boundaries. It's about self-respect. It's about not letting people treat me like I'm disposable. He's your father, and I'm his son. He made his choice when I was on an operating table. I'm making mine now. Cousin Bradley called, his tone gentle. Hey, man. I heard about your dad. I get why you're angry, but he's in bad shape. I know. That's terrible. You're really not coming? No, Bradley, I'm not. I understand, actually. I just wanted you to know I called. Ball's in your court. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it. He was the only one who didn't yell at me. Frank survived the heart attack. They performed a triple bypass surgery. He spent a week in the hospital, then moved to cardiac rehabilitation. Patricia left me a voicemail after he was out of danger. He's going to make it. No thanks to you. You've shown your true colors, Dennis. Don't bother coming around now. You're not welcome. You've proven you're not really part of this family. I saved the voicemail. Something told me I might need it later. Amber sent a long text, full of anger and hurt. She called me heartless, selfish, vindictive. She said I was dead to them, that they'd never forgive me, that I'd regret this decision for the rest of my life. I didn't respond. What was there to say? The days passed. I went to work. I came home to Lauren. I had dinner with Mr. Carson. I played basketball with Jason. Life continued. Life continued. And I felt okay, better than okay, actually. The emergency had come and gone. The test had arrived, and I'd maintained my boundary. I hadn't broken. I hadn't given in to guilt or obligation or the voice in my head that said family was supposed to forgive everything. I had chosen myself, and for the first time in my life, that choice felt right. Lauren asked me one night as we lay in bed, "Do you feel guilty?" "No," I said, surprised by how true it was. I feel relieved, like I finally proved to myself that I could stand firm. You did the right thing. I know. That's the weird part. I actually know I did. I fell asleep that night feeling lighter than I had in months. The weight I'd carried for 28 years, the weight of trying to earn love from people who would never give it, had finally lifted. I was free. 6 months after Frank's heart attack, I proposed to Lauren on a hiking trail in the Blue Ridge Mountains. She said yes before I even finished asking. We spent the rest of the weekend planning a life together, talking about the kind of home we wanted to build, the kind of family we wanted to become. We set the wedding date for late May, a small ceremony at a garden venue just outside the city. 40 guests, maximum. Intimate. Meaningful. Full of people who actually cared about us. I invited Mr. Carson, Jason, and his girlfriend Emily, my co-workers, Lauren's family, and close friends we'd made together. No one from my biological family received an invitation. 2 weeks before the wedding, a letter arrived in the mail. Thick, cream-colored paper, my mother's careful handwriting on the envelope. I almost threw it away unopened. But curiosity got the better of me. The letter was 3 pages long, handwritten in Patricia's flowing script. She wrote about Frank's heart attack, describing the terror of that night in detail. The ambulance ride, the emergency room, the surgery, the fear that she might lose him. "I finally understand," she wrote, "what you must have felt that night. The fear, the uncertainty, the desperate need for family to be there. I'm truly sorry we weren't there for you the way we should have been. Frank's heart attack changed everything for us. We've done a lot of thinking, a lot of soul-searching. We want to make things right. We want our son back. She asked to be invited to the wedding. She promised they'd changed. She wrote about how family was supposed to forgive, how life was too short to hold grudges, how much they missed me. The letter ended with, "Please give us another chance. We're family. Family forgives. I know we failed you, but we're asking you to be the bigger person and let us back into your life. Your wedding day should include your parents. Please." I read it 3 times. Then I sat at my desk and wrote my response. "Dear Mom, I'm glad you finally understand what it feels like to need family during a medical emergency. I'm sorry it took Frank's heart attack for you to get there. That understanding came 13 months too late for me. When I needed you most, you chose a party. When the hospital called 6 times, you declined every call. When I woke up alone in the ICU, you were posting photos on social media about how blessed you were. You have apologized only when it became convenient, only when it affected your image, only when you needed something from me. That's not a real apology. That's manipulation. I hope Frank continues to recover. I hope you've learned to answer the phone when hospitals call. I hope you treat Amber better than you treated me. I'm getting married in 2 weeks to a woman who has shown me what real love looks like. You're not invited, not because I'm cruel, but because I'm choosing people who chose me first. I've built a new family, a real family, made up of people who show up when it matters. So, I wish you well, but from a distance. This is goodbye. Dennis." I mailed it the next day. The wedding arrived on a perfect May afternoon. The garden venue was beautiful, full of flowers and light. 43 people came, every single one of them, someone who had earned their place in my life. Mr. Carson walked me down the aisle. When I asked him, he'd gotten tears in his eyes. "It would be my honor, son." Jason stood beside me as my best man. Lauren's father performed the ceremony since he was an ordained minister. Her family had welcomed me completely, treating me like I'd always been one of them. During the vows, I looked at Lauren and felt my throat tighten with emotion. "You showed up," I said. "From that first day when I told you about my family, you just showed up. You didn't ask me to compromise my boundaries. You didn't tell me I was being too harsh. You just supported me. You showed me what real love looks like. Love that doesn't come with conditions. Love that doesn't require me to shrink myself to make other people comfortable. You showed up, and you kept showing up, and that's everything." Lauren was crying. Half the guests were crying. Even Jason wiped at his eyes. At the reception, Mr. Carson gave a speech that brought down the house. Most of you know I'm Dennis's neighbor. What you might not know is that I'm the one who found him collapsed in our building hallway 19 months ago. I called the ambulance that saved his life. He paused, his voice thick with emotion. I visited him in the hospital when no one else did. And I watched him heal. Not just physically, but in every way that matters. This young man taught me something important. He taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. It's about who holds your hand in the dark times and celebrates with you in the bright ones. I'm honored to be part of Dennis's family. I'm honored he chose me. The applause was thunderous. I hugged Mr. Carson so hard, I probably hurt him. We danced, we ate, we laughed until our sides hurt. It was everything a wedding should be, surrounded by people who genuinely loved us. Late in the evening, as Lauren and I swayed together on the dance floor, my phone buzzed in my pocket, an unknown number. I glanced at it. Could have been Patricia. Could have been Frank or Amber. Could have been any of them making one last attempt to insert themselves into my happiness. Lauren noticed. "Who is it?" I turned the phone off without looking. Doesn't matter. And it didn't. That chapter was closed. Whatever they had to say, I didn't need to hear it. "Are you happy?" Lauren asked. "Happier than I've ever been in my entire life." "Any regrets?" "Just one, that I didn't cut them off sooner." She laughed, and I joined her, both of us giddy with joy and freedom. Later, after the guests had left and we were alone in our hotel room, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The pain, the betrayal, the loneliness of that hospital room, the strength it took to walk away. For years, I'd believed I needed my parents' approval to be whole. I'd believed that because they were my family, I owed them unconditional access to my life, no matter how they treated me. I'd believed their version of events, that I was too sensitive, too dramatic, too needy. That night on the operating table had taught me the hardest lesson of my life. Some people will never choose you, no matter how much you need them, no matter how dire the circumstances, no matter what you do to earn their love. And that's okay, because you can choose yourself. You can build your own family from people who value you. You can set boundaries that protect your peace. You can walk away from people who hurt you, even if they share your DNA. The strongest thing I ever did wasn't forgiving them. It was refusing to let them hurt me anymore. I built a life full of people who show up. Mr. Carson, who found me and saved my life. Jason, who visited me in the hospital and became my brother in every way that matters. Helen and the nurses who cared for me when I was at my lowest. Lauren, who loved me exactly as I am. Her family, who welcomed me without question. These people are my family now. They earned that title. They showed up. Patricia and Frank had their chance. They made their choice, and I made mine. I'm at peace with it. More than that, I'm grateful for it. Their abandonment freed me to find people who would never abandon me. Their rejection taught me my worth isn't determined by people who can't see it. I won. Not because I got revenge. Not because they finally understood what they did wrong. I won because I chose myself and built a life that doesn't include people who treat me like I'm disposable. That's the real triumph. That's the real victory. I fell asleep that night next to the woman I love, surrounded by memories of a perfect day, feeling nothing but gratitude for the journey that brought me here. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well, and I'm living better than ever. So if you're out there dealing with family who doesn't value you, who dismisses your pain, who makes you feel like you're never enough, let me tell you something. You don't owe them your suffering. You don't owe them access to your life just because of shared blood. You're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to choose people who choose you. It's not cruel. It's not heartless. It's survival. It's self-respect. It's the beginning of real happiness. And you deserve happiness. You deserve people who show up. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions. I found it. You can too. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who didn't respect you? How did you handle it? What would you have done in my situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your stories matter. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and realize they're not alone in their struggles. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, someone who's struggling with toxic family dynamics, share this with them. Sometimes we need to hear someone else's story to find the courage to write our own ending. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I hope this story gave you something to think about. Maybe even something that helps you in your own life. Take care of yourselves. Choose people who choose you. And remember, you're worth more than how anyone else values you. Until next time.